Hey riders, welcome to another video in our adventure motorcycle review series. I'm Eric Lange with Ride Adventures. I am now dedicated to bringing you information about the parts and the bikes and the tools and the gear and the things that we rely on in our operations. In today's video, it's going to be about the Honda CB500X. From here in the Pacific Northwest down to Tierra del Fuego, we've been running these bikes since about 2016, and it's time to let you know how are they holding up. So let's get in the character. Okay, so as you've probably heard me say in other videos, in the motorcycle touring and renting business, reliability is like of the utmost priority for us. We cannot be sending people out into the remote places of Oregon here or down into South America and on unreliable bikes. And so reliability is absolutely of paramount importance to us. You know, some folks, some customers are booking their trips with us 2 years in advance, and all the buildup and anticipation. We can't have obvious bike failures get in the way of their trips and their adventure riding. So if you stick around for this video, I'm going to explain how the Honda CB500Xs have been holding up for us. I'm going to try and explain who I think this bike is for. Also some improvements that I would like to see Honda make if there's an upcoming revision of this bike. And I'll have some questions for the audience at the end to get your involvement in commenting on this bike. Riders, before getting into this video, if you have an interest in adventure riding and doing the type of work that we do, check out the careers section of our website. You'll find the appropriate form to fill out there, and that's how we're going to be communicating to you the opportunities that might be arising. There's so much going on. Be sure to check out that part of our website and fill out the form. Back to the CB500X. First of all, I'd encourage you to check out a couple of our previous videos on this bike going back to 2019 or so. We did a pros versus cons video, and we actually did one. It was asking whether or not the CB500X is an adventure bike. Well, a lot of folks out there tend to disagree, and they say it's not capable, and we have hundreds of customers with hundreds of thousands of miles that would beg to differ that, you know, the CB500X is a perfectly capable adventure bike. It does not have the ground clearance and suspension travel of some others, but given what it is and its size and the types of riders it fits, it's a very capable, versatile bike that's been used, like I said before, from here in Pacific Northwest down to Tierra del Fuego. And a lot of folks, when they write in and they want to do a trip and they're not sure which bike to ride, sometimes they'll say to us, they'll be concerned that the CB500X won't keep up with their buddies who are also going to rent, 1250s or Africa Twins or whatever. Folks, the adventure riding, I guarantee you, when you're in the heart of Patagonia, you're not going to want to go any faster than you already are. The CB500X is plenty fast of a bike. You're going to be wanting to stop and take scenery and photos and things like that, much more than you're going to be worried about keeping up with your buddies, which might be on faster bikes with a better power to weight ratio. But again, the CB500X is a plenty powerful, plenty fast enough bike that you'll have no problem keeping up with other riders. And again, what's the hurry when you're in beautiful places like the routes we put you on? So as promised at the beginning of the video, first question, how are the CB500Xs holding up for us? If it's a bike you're looking into, I can tell you as a tour and rental operator and training operator that this is just a fantastic, reliable bike that has so few problems. I'm going to go through the few I can mention here. They're not even really problems because like fork seals can go out on any bike. If you take care of them with something like a seal saver, a neoprene booty over those seals, it'll help last longer. But inevitably, just like other bikes, fork seals can go bad on the CB500X. We did have about the only, I contacted our partners that we work with and the team and our mechanics and everybody that works on these bikes, and we couldn't come up with anything specific that was regularly going wrong with CB500Xs. There was literally nothing other than, and this has been talked about in other videos, that it is a stressed member chassis. And so by being a stressed member chassis, it might not be as capable of handling the pounding that some other bikes are, with traditional frames are able to handle. And so we did have two of the pre-2019 Honda CB500Xs in Patagonia years ago. Riders pounded them a little too hard, and they did break the engine, which meant, again, oil discharging all over the ground, and the trip was over for them. They pounded that frame engine stress member situation just a little too hard. And so as a reminder, it's a great bike, totally reliable. We couldn't come up with anything again that was a regular failing point. There are no electrical issues. There's no engine issues. There's just nothing that seems to go wrong with the CB500X, except for, again, that it might not be as durable of a bike when it takes a pounding as some others. I wasn't there when those people broke those engines. I can't tell you exactly what they hit or how hard they hit it. An improvement to that point is that now the bike comes with a 19-inch front wheel since 2019, and that has probably smoothed out and helped make sure that the frame or the engine is not susceptible to such damage, right? The larger your front wheel, the easier it's going to be to roll over impediments and pothole edges and things like that. And so it's a little less likely you're going to have some damage from pounding it too hard with the 19-inch front wheel. And speaking of which, although they are cast wheels, and perhaps historically cast wheels might not be the most durable, I honestly don't know of anyone between here and the U.S. and South America that we've been putting on these bikes. I've never seen a dented rim. You know, there are other manufacturers that are putting really soft rims onto these bikes, spoked rims that we tend to think of as being more durable, but the Hondas seem to be just holding up fine, and we don't have to see dented rims or replace those. So incredible bike, Honda. Nice job with the reliability factor once again. Also, as promised, I'm going to attempt to answer the question about whether or not the CB500X is the right bike for you. Well, I guess my question is going to be, what do you intend to do with it? It's a multi-talented, capable, agile, versatile bike that's going to be great on the pavement. It's going to be very capable in the dirt. It's not as dirt capable as some other bikes, of course. It's not the best pavement bike. It's not the best in any category, but what it is, I think you'll find, is a bike that sits kind of right in the middle of everything you would ever want to do with a motorcycle, whether it's carrying a passenger, going down dirt roads, maybe even trying a little bit of single track. You could. Long highway trips, paved twisties. It's a bike that does a bit of everything. And so if someone was going to have one bike in their garage, I would say this is absolutely a front runner for you. You know, this bike was featured in our Armageddon bike video when I picked what would be probably amongst 4 bikes, what would be amongst the best options if the shit ever really hits the fan and you had to have one motorcycle to get you through some situations. Has a bit of electronics, and that's why I picked the trusty old KLR in that video as being the best adventure bike for the apocalypse or whatever. But again, it still fits into that realm of possibilities that you might never have electrical problems with it anyway. It's just proven Honda reliability. They have held up for us. And again, talking with everybody, I couldn't come up with anything that anyone had to say about problems that we've had. They're never having anything other than the routine maintenance being done on them. So if you want a capable, versatile bike that's going to get you through a lot of years, a lot of situations, has a lot of options for you, Honda CB500X, I'm all thumbs up for it. As I talked about in our video where we asked if it's an adventure bike or not, is this bike for you or not? I would say the biggest determining factor on that is probably the size of the rider as it pertains to that bike, of course. So as I admitted in that video, I'm a little taller than average, and it's just not a bike that I feel comfortable on, nor would I choose to ride at any time. But whatever, if you're more average height or shorter in the inseam or something like that, I would say absolutely this is a bike that fits that mid to smaller sized rider, and again is going to be reliable, very affordable, great price it comes in at compared to some others out there. If you're a rider that fits that bike and you like the way it, you stand over it and you can touch the ground okay and everything like that, I see no reason why not to go ahead with the CB500X. So as promised, some improvements I'd like to see if Honda makes a next upcoming revision on this bike. First one would be a 21-inch front wheel. No, I'm kidding. Okay, I'm always talking about how I like the bigger 21-inch front wheels on adventure bikes, right? Because again, the larger the wheel, the more easily it rolls over impediments, the less chance you're going to have of a rim dent by having the bigger 21-inch. But in this case, the CB500X now since 2019 is coming with that 19-inch front wheel, and that is an appropriately sized wheel for this bike. You wouldn't want a 21 on a bike of this size. So I think that 19-inch front wheel is absolutely great. It fits the bike, the 17 in the rear, it all fits together perfectly balanced. I would like to see Honda make the ABS function switchable or more easily switchable. Ultimately, the way it comes from factory, you can just pull the fuse on the ABS system. You're stuck with a little light being on the dashboard then, and that's not ideal. But it would be so great if they just had a quick, easy, switchable on and off option for that ABS, again, for when you're going into the dirt. And I think one of our most recent videos talked about what I do as far as ABS and traction control. When do I want to use those things and when I want them turned off? And so you can check that video out as well. Along those lines, if they are going to put more electronics into this bike and the traction control, Honda, please make it easy and switchable fast. Don't make it where it's this menu system and you have to mess around and it's constantly resetting. Do your best, Honda. If you're adding traction control to this bike, put it in a way that we can just quickly go on and off, or choose maybe 3 different levels of sensitivity settings on the bike. It's not a bike I really think is going to need a lot of traction control, again, because it's not a wildly horsepower engine. It pulls, and it does really well, but in that you can ultimately upshift to sort of get the same effective traction control and reduce that torque. And then back to that point, if they do make one more change on this bike, I would like to see it have a little bit more power. It does fine, and it's fast and it moves along great, but who couldn't use another 10% power or something like that, as long as the engine still holds up and runs well. And then lastly, of course, Honda could put a few more features into it. You know, some of the components are kind of simple. The suspension did a pretty big upgrade, I think, in 2022 with upside down forks, and they made some progress there. But, you know, if Honda does start to kind of amp this bike up with better componentry and a few more features, of course, the price tag is going to go up and it might not be as special anymore, but it's hard to say that Honda really needs to do anything to this bike to make any more changes to it. So some final questions for you are, first of all, who has the highest mileage out there? I'm not scouring the forums these days, excuse me, but who has the highest mileage on a CB500X? Is it, I think, Amanda from As the Magpie Flies? I think she had a lot of miles on one. Itchy, didn't she ride a CB500X for a while? I don't know. Who put the big number on one of these bikes? I'd really be curious to know what the highest mileage or kilometers are on one of the CB500Xs. Also, is anybody else having problems with the Honda that I'm not yet aware of? Let us know about that in the comments. And then has anybody else out there broken the engine? Like, again, we said 2 riders did break engines years ago down in Patagonia. So has anybody else cracked an engine yet? We want to hear from you about this in the comments below, so please chime in. So just sort of wrapping it up here, Honda CB500X, for those of you who are shopping or considering one, absolutely, I give it a thumbs up. It's a rental operator's dream come true. We do our regular maintenance. Customers enjoy the bike. It goes everywhere that all the bigger adventure bikes go. It's a great price point, just all around solid option. Thumbs up right here. Let us know what else you want to hear about from us in the comments below. Thanks for watching, everyone. Ride on. We'll see you out there.